Donner understood. And all the best sequences in
Stop
Superman.
it. Let it go,
understand
McQuarrie. Stop
that
talking about
Superman's
Donner.
greatest obstacle is himself. Followed potentially by Green Lantern.
All right. He said Green Lantern. Now let's talk about Christopher McQuarrie. That's right. Christopher McQuarrie's been talking a lot, obviously promoting Superman. Well, I mean, he's kind of like a Superman. But Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. And I love it when Josh Horowitz gets these interviews because Josh Horowitz, he's a big nerd like us. He asks the questions that we want to hear. And naturally, Josh Horowitz was like, hey, you pitched a Superman movie. Obviously, working on Fallout with Henry Cavill, he's mentioned before that he did have a Superman pitch. He wrote a treatment, I think he essentially wrote a script, and him and Cavill bounced ideas back and forth, and they really wanted to make a Superman movie, a Man of Steel sequel, essentially. What was this Superman all about? Well, here's what he had to say right here.
The first 5 minutes of my Superman movie, which was imagine you remember Pixar's Up?
Sure.
A sequence with no dialogue that covered that character's.
Yeah.
Okay. The first 5 minutes of the movie was a setup after which you knew exactly what made Superman tick.
Yeah.
And exactly what Superman was most afraid of, and why Superman made the choices that he made. And it would have been epic. It would have been epic. In 5 minutes, the scale of the movie would have been absolutely extraordinary. And the other thing, and I hope that anybody who watches this movie, that enjoys the end of this movie walking away, that's the feeling I would want you to walk away from, because that's really what Superman is about. It's about hope, and it's about it being inspiring, and it's and the joy that character created. I don't think you need to live in the shadow of Donner's Superman.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to live in the shadow of John Williams' score. But you do need to recognize that movie captured better than any other, with respect to everyone that has followed. It captured better than any other the heart of that character.
Yeah.
The problem with Superman is that when they constantly are trying to create bigger and bigger and bigger obstacles for
like lifting up an island
for a
made of Krypton,
for a character with infinite power. Donner understood, and all the best sequences in
Stop
Superman.
it! Let it go,
understand
McQuarrie. Stop
that
talking about
Superman's
Donner.
greatest obstacle is himself. Followed potentially by Green Lantern.
All right.
He said Green Lantern. I love it. I actually saw like one of these, one of the, very loud accounts on Twitter post. They posted that, but because obviously what he said right there, don't live in the shadow of Donner Superman, don't live in the shadow of John Williams, which is great. But then all of a sudden he goes into praising that and saying what Donner understood about Superman. Of course, they cut it off right before that conveniently, because yes, that ruins the narrative of the fact that no matter what, doesn't matter what you say, it's just going to be the case. Donner Superman is just going to be the standard. Everybody's going to look at it as the standard. Yes, there are people that go way too overboard and just want that and want that and want that. And I don't like that either, but I will always not say like, oh yeah, I'm not one of those guys like, get over it, move on from Donner Superman. I'm not going to do that. Just like I'm not going to say, get over it, move on from Cavill's Superman or Snyder's Superman. I'm not going to do that either. But at the same time, it's just like Donner is just no matter what. Even Zach took some things from that too. Watch the behind the scenes featurettes of Man of Steel. He talks about Donner Superman in there, okay? No matter what, it's always going to be talked about. Anything Superman is going to be talking, because that was the first fucking movie that you believed a man could fly. It was on the goddamn poster. And what's funny about this, so obviously he talked about Green Lantern, right? So Green Lantern was going to be a player in this Superman movie, in this Henry Cavill Superman movie. If you're going to have Hal Jordan, how many times have people thought Tom Cruise could be a Hal Jordan? And this is Christopher McQuarrie, who seems to be attached at the hip to Mr. Tom Cruise. If this would have went through, would Tom Cruise have been like a Hal Jordan Green Lantern? And when I was seeing, what was funny, the funniest thing I was seeing about this when it came to all this, when I see like the people, of course, who are hating everything that's happening right now, and going like, you know, seeing this, hearing this, we were robbed, and I'm going, you would have hated this too. Shut up. Are you kidding me? Don't do this, you. Oh, okay. So you're thinking that this was just gonna be like a direct sequel to Zack Snyder's Justice League? What? You realize this was pitched before the Snyder Cut came out. First off, this was pitched before the Snyder Cut came out. I actually saw people going, oh man, he was gonna have, you know, Henry Cavill Superman and Green Lantern. They posted, you know, Cavill and Wayne T. Carr. I'm going, it wouldn't have been Wayne T. We didn't even know it was Wayne T. Carr that was in that scene. You realize that, right? You guys gotta realize timelines here. I get it. You guys think the Snyder Cut came out like a year and a half ago and everything's still fresh. No. Again, Justice League was shot 9 years ago. We gotta remember that. But of course, timelines just don't, you know, it's just a bubble. It's weird. But I was just kind of going like, okay, so we were robbed of a Henry Cavill Superman sequel, and I just kind of go like, I wonder how much, since this was during the time, this pitch happened after Zack was gone, while the DCEU had not really any footing. They didn't know what they wanted to do. We still had Justice League. Would it have come off from Justice League? Because this is before the Snyder Cut came out. Would it have come before that? Would have been attached to that? Would there have been references what happened in Justice League? Most likely been references to Man of Steel, and I'm kind of wondering what references to Batman vs Superman as well. I wonder about those details when it came to his script. How much was he playing with when it came to already things established in the DCEU, or was he just doing a straight up standalone movie? Then you bring up the Green Lantern thing, which I thought we wanted just a standard Superman sequel. I just want a standard Superman. Well, you want Green Lantern now? Oh wait, and you're all about Tom Cruise being Hal Jordan? You realize they would have marketed a Cavill Superman sequel as a Tom Cruise Green Lantern sequel, or Green Lantern movie featuring Henry Cavill Superman? If Tom Cruise would have been Green Lantern, which I don't think it would have just been some kind of cameo, he would have been probably a pivotal, you know, character in it. Yeah, it still would have been a Superman movie, as he was explaining the first 5 minutes, but I'm just kind of going like, if Tom Cruise would have ended up being that, they would have marketed the movie as Tom Cruise, like top billing, because that's just the way it is, because Tom Cruise is the more popular actor. So that would have not been good for Cavill Superman. I never liked the idea of Tom Cruise of actually being Hal Jordan. I wouldn't have hated it if it would have happened, but anytime that was brought up, I was like, nah, I don't want Tom Cruise to be Green Lantern. I don't want him to be Hal Jordan. I would not have liked that. I would not like that, especially if this would have happened and that was actually going to be the case. It would have just totally sidelined Henry Cavill Superman. Am I the only one seeing that? They would have sidelined them. That's not how I would have wanted a Henry Cavill Superman sequel. Just look at Spider-Man Homecoming. That was a Spider-Man movie. How did they market that Spider-Man movie? Spider-Man, one of the most popular characters ever, but they marketed heavily with Tony Stark, with Robert Downey Jr. That would have been the same shit here. Would have been the same shit if Tom Cruise was Hal Jordan. Same shit. He would have been probably in it just as much as like Robert Downey Jr. was in Spider-Man Homecoming, but they would have had him full blast in the marketing. Full blast! You guys really aren't thinking this, but you know what it is, guys? You know what it is? It's not James Gunn. It's James Gunn derangement syndrome. That's what it is. These people hate James Gunn so much that anything else, fucking Ball or fucking Paul W.S. Anderson could be talking about a Superman pitch that they gave. You know, hacky fucking filmmakers could have pitched it, and some of these people have been like, oh man, that would have been great. Ah, jeez, why couldn't we have that? Because they hate James Gunn so much, and that's what's so weird. And that's what it just comes down to. They just hate him so much. They would have hated this. They would have absolutely hated this, because there's no way that Christian McQuarrie was going to keep that tone. We know this because even Henry Cavill himself said that he was hoping to take the character into a brighter level. And that's what actually Zack wanted too, to be honest. He was like, hey, I want to tell my story, but if you do anything else, fine, go for it. Zack's one of those guys that goes, let the filmmaker tell the story. What? That's crazy. Crazy concept, I know. And they would have hated it, just like these guys hated when Cavill showed up in the Black Adam cameo. It's just funny. Just funny when you see all that. Okay. I think that rant over.